All right, let's talk about it. The IELTS Task 2 essay. It's probably the most nerve-wracking 40 minutes of the entire exam, right? Well, today, we're going to crack that code. We are going to boil down exactly what those examiners are looking for into a simple, powerful formula you can use every single time. I mean, seriously, have you ever just wished you could peek inside an examiner's brain? What is that secret sauce that separates a Band 6 essay from a Band 8? It's the question pretty much every test taker asks themselves. And here's the answer, and it might not be what you think. It's not about being some kind of genius or writing a literary masterpiece. It is all about following a proven formula, a blueprint that basically screams to the examiner, hey, I know what you're looking for.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. The most important part of your essay, and I mean this, happens before you even write your first sentence. Your score is pretty much decided in the plan you make in those first few critical minutes.
And look, don't just take my word for it. This comes straight from the people who've been on the other side of that marking table. Former IELTS examiners say it over and over again. Planning is the single biggest difference between the top scorers and, well, everyone else. This step is absolutely 100% non-negotiable.
So what does a winning plan actually look like? It's this simple, a three-step process. First, you break down the question and figure out exactly where you stand on the issue. Second, you brainstorm 2 solid reasons to back yourself up. And third, you just sketch out a quick 4-paragraph structure. That's it. That's your roadmap to a great score.
Now let's see how that little plan blossoms into the full essay. Once you've got your roadmap, the structure you're going to use is almost always the same. This 4-paragraph formula works for nearly every single Task 2 essay they can throw at you.
And what I love about this is just how simple it is. 4 paragraphs. That's all you need. You've got your introduction, 2 separate body paragraphs where you build your case, and then a conclusion to wrap it all up. This gives you the clarity and the coherence that examiners are dying to see.
Your introduction has exactly 2 jobs. Just 2. First, paraphrase the question. Show the examiner you get what they're asking. Second, state your thesis. This is your one direct sentence that tells the reader your exact opinion. Something like, this essay will argue that job satisfaction is a much bigger deal than just having a high salary. Boom, done.
Now for the heart of the essay, the body paragraphs. This is where you score the big points. And to make it super easy to remember how to build a powerful paragraph, we use a simple little acronym, the PEE method.
And this breaks it down perfectly. Every single body paragraph needs these 3 ingredients. You start with your point, that's your main idea in a clear topic sentence. Then you give your explanation, where you flesh out that idea. And finally, you prove it with a specific example. Point, explanation, example. Every single time. And to make sure all your ideas connect beautifully, you need the right tools. Think of linking words as the glue holding your whole argument together. Using words like furthermore, however, and consequently shows the logical flow of your thoughts and gives a direct boost to your cohesion and coherent score.
Okay, so we've covered what you should do. Now let's flip the script and talk about what not to do. From an examiner's point of view, there are a few huge mistakes that just repeatedly stop students from getting those high band scores. We're going to look at the 5 most common and honestly most devastating errors. And trust me, avoiding these is just as important as everything else we've already covered.
So, mistake number 1 is an instant score killer. Going off topic. If a question asks about the disadvantages of something, but you only write about the advantages, you just haven't answered the question. This one mistake can lock your score at a Band 5, no matter how amazing your grammar is.
Mistake number 2 is being wishy-washy. An examiner should never have to guess what you think. Your opinion needs to be crystal clear in the intro and then defended consistently all the way through. Changing your mind halfway is just a recipe for disaster.
Oh, this is a big one. You don't get points for having lots of ideas, you get points for developing them. A paragraph with 5 different ideas, but each only gets 1 sentence, that's super weak. A paragraph with 1 strong idea that's fully explained and backed up with an example, that's powerful. That's the PEE method in action.
Please, just stop doing this. Examiners see it constantly, and it never ever works. Making up statistics like a study by Harvard showed 75% of people agree just sounds weak, and it actually tanks your credibility. Stick to general, real-world examples you actually know.
And finally, the 5th score killer, overgeneralizing. This is when you make these massive, sweeping claims that aren't always true. Like saying all young people are addicted to their phones. I mean, is that true for everyone? Of course not.
This is where you need to sound a bit more academic.
And here's the fix. It's so easy. Instead of making these absolute statements, use what we call hedging language. Just add simple words like tend to, might be, or can. It instantly makes your argument more nuanced, more academic, and way more believable to an examiner. It's such a small change with a massive impact.
So, after all that, what's the one thing you absolutely need to remember? What is the core principle that ties this whole formula together?
It really is this simple. A clear position. You hold that position from start to finish, and you support it with 2 fully developed body paragraphs using that PEE method. That's the secret. That is the formula for a high-scoring IELTS essay.
So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you sit down to practice, I want you to ask yourself, am I building a structured argument here? Or am I just listing a bunch of random ideas? Because the difference between those two approaches, well, that's the difference between an average score and a great one.